Hello again, friends, and you are my friends. Welcome to your Sunday's Talking Town. A bit earlier and a bit shorter this weekend. Apologies on that. It's my fault. I'm off to the hospital this afternoon. But what we want from you is, as always, likes, comments, shares to your friends and family. If you're watching on Catch Up, FTA, comment for that algorithm. We want to know how you're thinking, how you're feeling. Town, obviously, relegated. We all kind of knew, didn't we? It's been coming for a few weeks. It was inevitable. But it was confirmed yesterday. We'll go through how the game went. We'll go through a bit of talking about what relegation means. We all know what it means. Then we're back to the Championship game every 2.5 days. Kickoffs at midnight to midday. All of that wonderful stuff that comes with the second tier. Wrexham promoted, of course. Birmingham promoted from League One. Burnley and Leeds will not be there. Who will be left in the playoff race? We may cover all that today, but we'll cover that, of course, across the summer. We've got a super sticker already from NPR. Thank you very much, NPR. Appreciate that. That's $19.99. Thank you very much. We appreciate your generosity. Welcome to Talking Town. Lynn Phillips, one of our members, was always going to be a hard task. We go again. Come on, you Blues. Yeah, was always going to be a hard task. The inevitable confirmed yesterday. Don't forget, we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help to save lives and have the chance to win £1,000 every week, of course you do. Answer yes to both those questions. Play the East Anglian Air Ambulance lottery. By playing for just £1 each week, you're helping to keep their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance lottery creates 18 winners every week with prizes ranging from £50 to £1,000 over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Link in our description. But please, whatever you do, gamble responsibly. I am joined, as always, by Mr. Phillips. Welcome in, Matt. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. I'm good. Despite the relegation, the sun is shining. Is your hospital trip to get you ready for the Championship campaign of podcasting? All them shows we're going to have to do every couple of days.
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done 3 shows in a week and my throat's already sort of raging. Yeah. I can't imagine what it'd be like next year. But we knew it was coming. We knew it was just inevitable, wasn't it? Which weekend it would be, and it was this weekend, and it is what it is, really, at this point.
Yeah, as we said last week, I think if we have to go down, if we have to be relegated, why not do it at St James's, where you've got the affinity with Sir Bobby? It's funny how these things, the synchronicities of these things work out sometimes, don't they? It would be at Newcastle, you know?
The video of the Newcastle fans sort of clapping the Town fans out, that was obviously Alex Griffin. Shout out Alex Griffin video. Obviously I think Sunderland and Norwich fans on social media were commenting as you would expect from rival fans of both.
Well, they compete for the Friendship Trophy, of course, don't they? Which is a huge thing for Norwich. Exactly. I mean, it's I knew because we hadn't played Newcastle for God knows how long. In the top flight, and obviously there's always been that affinity, hasn't there, with Sir Bobby? Obviously, both have statues outside the ground. But I think it's nice to have that kind of affinity with a club, and you know they've won a trophy this season. They're pushing for Champions League, and hopefully they get that, and we can cheer them on from afar, knowing that we've got that kind of connection. I think it's good, and I didn't realise it was so huge until obviously Newcastle came down. For what turned out to be the 4-0 drubbing, but. And we've seen, plenty of Geordies come on there and wishing us well, haven't we, throughout the season. So fantastic. Really good.
You talk about the cups that, a Friendship Trophy. I'd love to see the Hospital Cup come back. That was that was
there's lots of old school trophies, isn't there? Like Colin would tell us, like the Texaco Cup. Ipswich were very successful. Let's bring that one back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, it's too much football now, of course, isn't there? You can't have all these other competitions going on. People play too many games, don't they?
Was there an Anglo-Italian Cup? Was there?
Was the Anglo-Italian? Yeah. Was the Anglo-Scottish? There's lots of Anglo/somethings. But as you've rightly said before, you can't have all these other competitions going on because people will get to Australia and Malaysia and the Far East for their end of season tours.
Yeah, very quiet. ITFC GTV, bring on Norwich next year. Come on, you Blues. I heard a little bit of that in the stands. Norwich City, we're coming for you. I've seen split opinion on that type of chant, from cringe to love it. Where do you land on the cringe to love it scale?
Yeah. Well, I think Norwich are going to be a very different beast to the one we've faced in previous seasons. We've been able to beat them. I mean, we're going to start with a huge advantage over them. So, but then some people on this show have said, "Get ready for the shellacking." and it ended up being 1-1, namely myself, and losing at Carrow Road. But yeah, we will start as huge favourites against them next season, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But on the flip side of that coin, I don't really want to play them again.
No, I don't.
And play your Evertons and your Liverpools and your Brentfords, your Bournemouths, all those teams that I was hoping that we might be able to kind of compete with in mid-table at some point. But we'll go a step back to hopefully go 2 forward.
Yeah, and that time will certainly come, and sadly there'll be a different beast also because obviously they've changed their manager, so they may be a better outfit next season because obviously this year they've not been great and they've made that move.
They're gonna have to sell, aren't they? They're gonna have to sell. I would imagine that Borgia signs will
Signs and Sargent. I'd have thought Signs and Sargent.
Yeah. So they'll be much different. They haven't got no parachute payments. Whether or not their new ownership puts money in, I don't know. They're in a very, very different space to us. They're in our Marcus Evans space, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, almost. I think they've got a new ownership, maybe slightly better than what we had under Evans. Time will tell on that. And they've got Napa, who's obviously their sporting director, who I think he came from Arsenal, I think from memory. But that's Norwich City, and what will be in that next season, as it were. If Farke stays at Leeds, you could see Sargent move there potentially, but there's talk of Daniel Farke not being Leeds manager for a while. I laughed at you at Wednesday. I pulled a funny face when you said Mourinho to Leeds, and then a day or two later there was reports of that. But on yesterday, we've got a comment from Ted Anani, UK to Canada 20 years later, says still livid about the ref and the terrible decisions. Now, I'm not one that likes to talk about referees that often, but with yesterday's game, you've absolutely got to, because there's some big moments that affect how the 90 minutes play out. Yeah, it was. Prior to, so first of all, you had Ben Johnson's first yellow card. A foul for simulation. Oh, sorry. A yellow card for simulation. The dive. Was it a dive? Is it a yellow card? How did you see that whole incident?
Yeah, I have staggered it was given as a yellow card. I mean, you got 6'7" Dan Burn with his oak tree legs. I mean, what's Johnson supposed to do? Run into him? Be concussed? Get carried off? I mean, he's literally probably just jumping out of the way, to be honest with you. So I was staggered that was a yellow. And I think if you look across the media, across the board, everyone said that wasn't a yellow card. It was a very poor performance. I mean, look, we've kind of lamented referees aren't very good, regardless of what level we've been at this season. Over the seasons we've done Talking Town, League One, Championship, Premier League, and you'd expect Premier League referees to be better, given that they've got the helping hand of technology to assist,
which we'll get to. Believe me, we'll get to.
But we did that Michael Salisbury a few times this season. He did the Nottingham Forest game we lose 4-2. I think he was the referee for the defeat at home to Bournemouth. So we've had him a few times. But I mean, he was shockingly bad. And if you watch the game back on Town TV today with Glenn and Ian Westley's going, he's a bit of a homer, this ref. I mean, I know he had black shorts and black socks on. He might have had a black and white top on underneath that orange shirt. I mean, it was just everything Ipswich did yesterday was just not going in our favour, was it? You get once again, second week following in against a team pushing for the Champions League. We've got to play an hour with 10. And it just kills the game for us, doesn't it? It just didn't give us an opportunity to do anything. I mean, look, the second was a yellow. I mean, it was as ludicrous as what Axel did at Villa Park when you're on a yellow and he kind of tugs him back. And it was very similar, wasn't it? Albeit on the left-hand side of the box, Johnson on Isaac. But so there's no complaints there. But it's always the first one. The first one then puts you on tenterhooks for any other challenge during the game. And Ipswich did all right. Ipswich had done all right, I thought, in the first quarter of an hour already. I mean, we forced a couple of corners, didn't we? Which we've not been doing at Portman Road at all. We didn't get any corners against Arsenal.
No.
So actually started really well on the front foot, I thought. And Clark has that chance, doesn't he? It flashes just wide of the keeper's left post.
So close. And what a moment that would have been for Jack Clark, obviously.
Last
year, Town this year. Not been the greatest year for him in the Town shirt so far, but that would have been a great moment at St James's Park. A really good opportunity. Win the ball high up the field from a good press, force an error. And we're on the front foot with that Jack Clark incident, Jack Clark moment, and just doesn't fall the right side of the post. But the first yellow, it's really, really harsh for me. I mean, but by the letters of the law, yes, he's trying to avoid the contact. Yeah, which you could fall into. Okay, is he trying to force the to win a foul there? But I just think he's trying to get out of the way, pure and simple, and a bit of it. For me, that's where referees got to show a little bit of common sense.
There's no nous. Yeah, exactly. There's no nous around how you play the game. I mean, what's he supposed to do? Run into Burn? Well, he's going to get a yellow card if he runs into Burn, most likely.
Absolutely, yeah, and you know, he's trying to avoid. He's trying to understand the game, you know, how you play the game of football, and you know, I'm sure referees have played the game at all levels before they become a referee, because they become a referee because they're football fans. They've seen football, they've probably played football. That for me, there is a common sense situation where, by the letter of the law, potentially, yeah, you could be booking him, but you've also got to know he's trying to get out of the way. Those sort of situations for me are where referees got to show some nows. Trevor says, any touch at that speed, you go down. Compare with the Chaplin non-penalty against Leicester. And of course, when you see that, you then go, so you've got Chaplin against Leicester, Davis at the Etihad, you know, but they're not given. You've got Christian Walton being, you know, cross body slammed like he's in WWE.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Was
that not endangering an opponent? We've seen Leif Davis get done for endangering an opponent. That wasn't endangering an opponent. So even you get the inconsistencies. You get the inconsistencies with who's pushing the buttons on the VAR.
Yeah, well, this is it. But you know, before that red card, I thought we did well. You know, we soaked up pressure when we had to. We were effective on the ball when we had it. I thought. Did
you like the lineup? I mean, we'd made 4 changes, hadn't we? We've made 4 changes. Who came in? It was Wolfenden, Burgess, obviously, Taylor, and Delap had come in. Even though we were playing 4 centre halves at the back, I thought they did pretty well. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with that back four, to be fair. You know, there were some moments in the game where they weren't so great, but I thought it was okay under the circumstances of losing Axel, losing Davis, Townsend not being able to make it. I thought it was okay.
Sod's law, that, wasn't it? Sod's law. I mean, Townsend gets his opportunity, injured. Just sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. It really does sum it up. But I thought Taylor in that period before the red card, you know, so after the red card, it's a very different game. But I thought up to that point, he was doing well, keeping the ball, was busy in midfield. Yeah, I wasn't shocked by the lineup. I was sad, obviously, Axel didn't make it, etc. But I joked on Wednesday, don't know how many changes can we make to that back four to affect as many as we possibly can. And I didn't realise at the time Axel was obviously carrying that injury. The red card is silly from Johnson. I know it's in the heat at the moment, as Steve was saying, the match reaction show, Matt, but you've got to know where you are in the game, haven't you? Again, if the referee's got to show some common sense in that yellow.
So is the player.
So is the player in the second yellow, right?
Yeah. I guess you just go to muscle memory and things you've done on repetition, and I don't know.
You can't. You've got to know where you are in the game. You've got to know where you are as a player, where you're
management. Yeah, your own personal game management, isn't it? Yeah, it was foolish, really, and we've suffered from that this season. I mean, you've got the Davis card last week, where, as you rightly said, why is he making that challenge on the halfway line, just inside Arsenal's half, when Saka is facing his own goal? I mean, they need to make that challenge, and then suddenly, I mean, look, the game was over anyway, wasn't it? It was 2-0 at that point, but certainly yesterday was it was a game changer.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. And almost does Ben Johnson have to make that? I mean, you know, he's running into O'Shea next, the player. It's not like it's through on goal. It's, you know, take one for the team. It is what it is. Yeah. Second yellow card, no question. First yellow card for me is very, very harsh. Penalty then, because that's what breaks the deadlock. Newcastle go one up through a penalty just before half time. Enciso not deemed to have fouled the Newcastle player on the field by the referee. Yeah. But then VAR decides clearly they've not done enough, not enough today, and we need to and they interject.
You were fuming over this, weren't you? But this is about as angry as Martin gets at football, I would say.
I was, and I still am. Yeah, I've seen it back so many times. And I said yesterday, Matt, football is one of those games where if you looked at something with 50 cameras a million times, you could come up to a million different outcomes of to what foul or what situation or who's fouled who. And as people have said on our comments on the Match Reaction show, referees will be giving penalties at corners every other minute.
Agreed.
I don't understand how VAR have decided that they have to interject here because it's a clear and obvious error that it's a penalty. And I said on Wednesday's show, Matt, before I let you come in, once the referee goes to the monitor, I have never seen them go with the counter decision to what the monitor is there to try and tell them, or what the VAR are telling them they think he may have missed. And it's the same situation again. He's made the right decision on the field. You've done it, Mr. Referee. Correct? Throw 3 points.
Yeah, why? I mean, we saw it, didn't we, when we thought we had a penalty against Everton at the start of the season, didn't we? Goes to the screen. not given. Goes to the screen yesterday, changes his mind. Like you said, suddenly you got the pressure of VAR going, oh, you should have a look at this, which then makes him subconsciously think, shit, I've made a mistake. And
but it's doubt in his mind, isn't it?
Exactly. I've got to correct it. I mean, look, Enciso does get a little bit of his Murphy's right arm, doesn't he? I think it's his right arm. Is that enough for a player to go to the ground? I mean, come on. I mean, if you're looking at a yellow card for Johnson getting out of the way of Dan Burns' huge oak tree legs, I mean, bloody hell. I mean, that was simulation. The minimal of contact does not warrant going down like he did. And then you circle it back, Martin, to Manchester City Villa on Thursday, where Villa got a penalty on exactly the same challenge that Leif Davis wasn't given a penalty at the Etihad, and no one goes over to the screen to look and see if it should be.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just ludicrous. It was just ludicrous. It was just like a coming together. I mean, that wouldn't have been a foul anywhere else on the pitch. If you look at Arsenal Real Madrid in the Champions League in the Bernabeu, very similar when Rice had hold of Mbappe. That took 6 or 7 minutes for them to work out whether or not they thought that was a pen. And there was some other bits in there as well. In the end, they thought minimal contact, no pen. Mm-hmm. But using the same technology here, they've decided it was a penalty. Ludicrous. I will tell you now, we could play 100 years of football at St James's Park and never get that penalty down the other end, because it's the big club, small club dynamic for me. And we've seen Ipswich get this all season. Now had five red cards, most of those unwarranted. Ipswich will never get a penalty like that in a million years. And that's this, and it's proof in the pudding already that Davis at the Etihad in the second game of the season.
Yeah,
and now you're seeing those get given at the Etihad. Oh, well, look,
exactly, and that's where all the and this is where the fans are really rightfully upset, because it's the consistency of the decision making by those with the cameras and the time to look at it time and time again. Why wasn't the referee at home to Leicester called over to the monitor to review the situation that he had given? He'd given no foul on Connor Chaplin. Why wasn't that looked at? That is very. It's a coming together. It's a strong coming together. For me, it's still a definite penalty. But in the context of two players,
more contact in that. There was more contact in that. That's the one on Chaplin than there was yesterday. And actually, how did that scenario actually play out? Calvin Phillips gets sent off. That's actually what happened in that scenario in the passage of play. So I don't know. It was just again, you've changed the game with the two yellows, and now it's just you're playing down with 10 men, and then the most minimal of contacts in Enciso on Murphy, and like I say, we would never get that at any huge stadium as a small club against a big club. And then I'm not digging out Newcastle here. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
you see it time and time again.
It's not the Newcastle players' fault. It's not Newcastle as a club's fault. This is the situation you find yourself in. And I'll just bring it full circle. What happened to the clear and obvious? Where was the clear and obvious in this incident that he's missed? He's made the decision on the field. Him and his linesman. His linesman was looking right at it as well. They've made the decision. They've said no penalty. We're supposed to be reversing clear and obvious errors. It's not clear and obvious, even if you slow it down, right? And look at a million cameras. Is there contact? Potentially, but it's a big P. It's a big potential. It's not. I can't definitely say for sure. Can you? Can you definitely say hand on heart that there was enough contact there for?
No, it was not enough contact for him to fall on the floor. Do me a favour.
When you're moving at speed, you can have a minimal contact, and you can go over, because that's what happens. That's physics. But I just can't understand it.
Ordinarily, to fall on the floor, you'd have to be tripped up. Not just someone touching your arm and you fall on the floor. I mean, not been it like Ben Eubank last night, has he?
No.
It's just ludicrous. That to me is a simulation in itself. But I mean, that's the way the game is played now. And he can't. I mean, look, we saw that a little bit, I suppose, at Craven Cottage when there was minimal contact, wasn't there, on Delap? He went down, he got the pen. But I mean, that was actually on his foot in order to trip him. But I don't see how a hand on your shoulder or the top part of your arm forces you to the floor.
Yeah.
Steve says, wrestling style, is it?
No, Steve says there was contact on Johnson and on Murphy. Both went down. Both were punished. Yeah, absolutely. But it's that of course gives them a penalty. They take the lead from it, and then you're 1-0 down at half time, down to 10 men, staring relegation in the face, and it's an uphill battle. Uphill battle at 10 men. It's even further a goal down already, and there's never any doubt that they were going to miss it. He was always going to score it. It was a great penalty. Palmer's tried to stay as upright as he can for the last minute, and the pace of the ball's just flown past him.
Up until that Tonali hit the crossbar, or the bit between the bar and the post, Palmer hadn't really had much to do, had he? To be honest with you, there was the clearance off the line from Wolfenden. But yeah, once you go down to 10, Isaac Penn, it was curtains, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it absolutely, it really was. Was it? What they deemed it a foul on Palmer? Talk about the incident on Palmer himself. I've seen fans say it should have stood.
That was a foul on Palmer. Yeah, I mean,
I agree. Yeah,
who was that Scottish geezer on the American commentary? It was getting Andy something. It was getting right on my nerves. He thought that should have been given as. I mean, Bruno, I think Grimace, wasn't it? He backs into Palmer. It's a foul all day.
Well, if Delap's deemed to have fouled, and I can't remember who it was at home from a corner where we've scored from a corner, and Delap's deemed to have found the goalkeeper, then that's a foul, right? Again, VAR interjected in that one and said that I can't remember who it was at home. It was from a corner we scored, but Delap had deemed to have
Bournemouth. Was it the Bournemouth game?
It could well have been, but Delap had deemed to have stood. Yeah, Delap had deemed to have stood his ground and got in the way of the goalkeeper. Again, if that's a foul, this is a foul, and I thought it was a foul. Very much.
Yeah,
so.
No, I did. Yeah, I did at the time as well. Yeah, I totally agree with that one. But I mean, again, then you see, odd decisions like Burn and Delap were kind of grappling each other, weren't they? Like you would normally see at a corner. It's because Burn's so bleeding big, isn't it? I suppose. Even Delap looked like me next to him, didn't he? And he gives them both a yellow. Why? Now the commentators I agreed on. Even he goes, "What are you doing? Why are they both getting yellows here? That's just jostling it for position." But they both got yellow. I mean, he refereed the game in a really odd manner yesterday. And that's not just me saying that. Like I say, commentary, newspapers, radio comms, everyone was saying it. Odd.
Trevor actually says Palmer's slightly lucky. He should be standing up to that. I don't think he's lucky at all, Trevor. It's funny, isn't it? Because you say about, if it was on the smaller club up the other end, they wouldn't get it. But in all of that, we all sort of laughed, didn't we, at Leeds fans when they said that smaller clubs don't get the decisions in the Premier League. And I'm not laughing now, Leeds fans.
We've seen it time and time again. We've seen it time. We've referenced 3 here. Davis at the Etihad. I think we were 3-1 down at the time. Scored that pen. Would have gone in at half time, 3-2 maybe. As you rightly say, the Leicester one on Chaplin. What happens? Phillips gets sent off. And there's others as well. They're just the 3 that set him. I mean, like you said earlier, Pedro and Walton not endangering an opponent apparently.
It's mad.
Knocks the keeper out basically. That was a 0-0 at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah. Darren says, all right, a Newcastle fan. It was a great friendly game yesterday between 2 teams. Both set of fans were nice to each other. Unfortunately, you went down. Hopefully, you'll come back. I think Darren may have come on the first time we played Newcastle. So. Do you remember? Nice to hear from you, Darren. Craig at Winchester. Hasn't Clark got as many assists as any Town player this season? He's not had enough minutes. I was more excited by his signing than any other this season. Underused. Talking to Clark, I thought he had a good game when he was on. Once again, though, he is the player that is sacrificed after a red card for a tactical change, and I wasn't happy about that. And I as you know, I felt that was harsh. I felt, why always him?
Like Balotelli, why always me?
It's tough. It's really tough for him, isn't it? Because obviously he has now been taken off due to a red card a lot. And
the 3 got at least 3 of them from that I can remember. Yeah.
And if I was Jack Clark, I'd be asking why. Why is it going to be me? Because it wasn't like anybody else was playing outstandingly brilliant that you possibly
could have taken.
Couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, look, who else would you have taken? I mean, it was between Clark and Enciso, I would say.
I would have taken Enciso off, not because of what happened afterwards, but because I said to you at the time, I would have taken Enciso off. Just because it's. There's once, twice, but this is 3 times now. You've got to, and he was having a good game, Jack Clark. He had that incident flashback.
He was against Arsenal. Yes,
he was very busy, and Cecil was playing okay. But you've got to take one of them off, right? If you have a tool. Yeah. The
jury's out with you on Enciso, and I can get that feeling. I think what Enciso brings to the table is that kind of street footballer, kind of maverick vibe that. He might be able to just dig one out from 30 yards, which no one else seems to do other than maybe Amari in dispatches, like the goal against Man United at Portman Road. No one else really shoots from distance, do they? And Enciso likes to shoot when he gets the ball, really. So I suppose he gives you that kind of dynamic that we don't really see from a Jack Clark. But yeah, I thought he was doing all right. I thought he was playing really well against Arsenal last week. But it's obviously that their plan is always that if there's a red card, then the plan B is that Clark will make way for an extra midfielder or
Yeah.
defender, or however it's going to be. As it was Godfrey, wasn't it? Yeah, it's really frustrating for him. I mean, it took him a while to get going, and it's a signing that we was all really excited about because we'd seen what he'd done at Sunderland with 15 goals, 15 assists, whatever it was, something close to that. But of course, you're having to step up into the Premier League. His second bite at the Premier League, isn't it? Having not really made the grade at Tottenham, and it's taken him a while. But we referenced the other day, didn't we, that we'd seen quotes saying he was now feeling a bit more comfortable, and I think you've actually seen that in some of his performances. Sadly, the red cards have scuppered his ability to put 90 minutes into the pitch. Let's hope he comes back renewed next season at a level which we probably think he's too good for. And it will be a real catalyst for us. Ditto someone like a Phillips if still with us and other players.
Yeah, and that's the thing to remember with Jack Clarke is almost go back to the time we signed him, look at the reaction videos, and bottle what you felt, because that's the player you're hopefully going to be having next year in the Championship, where he's back at the level he was so good at.
We came against Coventry in the Cup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superb.
Absolutely. Stephen Warner, that was our learning curve. Hopefully get to have another go and show the Prem that we did learn from the lesson. Jamie says, Encita gives you more of a chance of being in the game with less opportunities to score. Clarke will be unreal next year. Yeah, Encita has what you said, as you said, that maverick, but equally he can also, run into sort of dead ends where he takes it past one or two players and then wants to go past 3 or 4 more players and loses the ball. Yeah, and he's also equally I'm 95% sure on saying he's not going to be our player next year. So,
no, he'll be back at Brighton. He'll be trying to get back into that team. Yeah.
You're 10 men down, you're staying relegation in the face. Yeah, I would have left our player on, a player that's going to be here next year. I can't see leaving. Perhaps Sunderland, if they go up, might be interested, but probably not. I would have just left Jack Clarke on, because it would have gone down the way it went down, but you would have at least gotten minutes into your a player that you're going to have next year, isn't he? So as good as he could be, as good as unpredictable as he can be with the quality, he's not going to be here next year, Matt, is he? Let's be real.
He doesn't look like it, does it? It doesn't look like. You'd imagine he'll be either competing to get back in the Brighton side, or they load him out at Premier League level again, I would have thought. I totally get that. Yeah, it just that when you talk about McKenna being flexible sometimes on predictable subs and stuff, it's predictable that Clarke gets taken off when we go down to 10 minutes. At least three times.
It really is. Talking of learning curves, one thing we're not learning at, and one thing we have to absolutely address, and how you address it is absolutely down to individual opinion.
I think I know where we're going here.
Is of course our set pieces. Our famous set pieces. I've been banging the drum since October that this is rubbish. And once again yesterday, Matt, we
short corner kills us, doesn't it? Why are we so switched off from a short corner? No play within like 20 yards almost.
It's not good, is it? You can concede once or twice in a season potentially from a short corner, but this is becoming a cut, copy, and paste job.
On the shot now. Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle.
It shows that they're not just not learning from that learning curve, clearly, and that's not good. That's not good.
No. I don't know how they're going to. I don't know how that gets. Well, I mean, you're playing lesser opposition next season. I don't know how you address it. But we said at the time the Mark Hudson appointment was a very strange one, given he was defensive coach at Sheffield United, which had conceded over 100 goals in the Premier League.
Oh, there you go. I mean,
they were getting done 8. They were getting done 8 at home by Newcastle, weren't they? I mean, look, he's got a good rep in the game. He was Cardiff manager. He was a good guy and all that. But just taking that out of the equation. It's not defending.
It's the results business, right? And the results of our set pieces this year are not good. Attacking, we've been poor.
We've not scored any set piece goals. I like from free kicks and things. I think, and we've defended them really poorly. And you've seen that over the last 3 games, at least. Yeah.
So, that's what speaks volumes, really. The results of what we've been obviously working on in training. It's not good. It's not good. It has to get better. That has to be one of the learning curves we take into next year, but equally back into the Premier League. If and when or should we return, because it really hurts you, particularly in games. Not yesterday as much because you're 10 men, you're out of the game and all that. But just go back through the season. Man United always will stick out to me, because that was a game we absolutely could have got something out of at a pivotal moment of a season where it was still on the line. They're down to 10 men. We get ourselves, where we need to get ourselves back to, and then the second half happens, and we just get absolutely blown away by set pieces, not by individual quality.
All 3 goals.
By set pieces. in a pivotal moment, and then we don't learn from those moments again in the preceding weeks. Not good enough for me. Hasn't been good enough all season, and it was almost better. Well, not almost. It was better when we were doing it ourselves, so to speak, last year in the Championship. You know, whoever was doing it last year, give them a call. Are they still available? Because we need to get back.
Sam Howard's put, I reckon Hudson said oxygen in his interview of Ashton and got the job. It's a box ticker, I feel. I think Sam's on the money there. Yeah, very odd. I mean, and like starting, like we've not been good in second halves this season, have we?
No.
I mean, you look at Chelsea, we conceded within 46 seconds or whatever it was. The Old Trafford game you're talking about there, you've gone in 2-1 up against 10 men. Within a minute, it was 2-2.
Yeah, and then you don't learn in the same game. You don't learn in that same game, and you know the other goal is also a set piece. As Ted says, 2 from Maguire that were identical. That was disappointing. Yeah. And it was ITFC Beard. I'm excited for the next season. A big rebuild, lots of young talent in place. Yeah, I was thinking about this on the way back, or the way here this morning. I really only need 3 players next year. Anyway, obviously you'll replace players should some players leave. But if you look at the squad at the moment, and all things considered, I only kind of feel we need 3 players to really be a top.
So striker,
centre forward, and 2 midfield players. 2
midfielders.
2 midfielders, yeah.
You're going to have to replace Luongo, aren't you? Because I would imagine he's probably going to leave. So that's one goal. But then you've got the returning Cameron Humphreys, as we debated in the week. We're not sure where he's going to be playing. He's left as a utility player and coming back as a young player of the season at Wickham, having played in the 10. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, and if you hadn't seen that show, me and Martin, in the week, we were saying, you know, that's going to be quite critical, I think, the 2 central midfielders, because they're the 2 that if you're going to be lifting a trophy at the end of the season, you want those 2 to be the 2 that go into the Premier League and have some kind of impact. We don't want to be in this space where we're going, oh, should it be Phillips or Mosley or Goosdale? No, you want them 2 to be it moving forward. So that's going to be critical recruitment. Of which are we going back to the Brighton model again? This Brighton software that seems to be the all-seeing eye for players.
I said to you last night, didn't I? I'd love to question one of the presses just to ask that, you know, what have we put in place foundationally for recruitment moving forward? So, you know,
well, we got our own system. I mean, isn't it, as I said to you yesterday?
Well, has that been accomplished? Has that been worked on this year? You know, so we're not left in a position where, you know, and this is, I think I've seen it reported, you know, where we went up and we couldn't use the same model we were using because of Brighton or whoever it was. Yeah. And if that's the case, well, okay, let's ask the question: what have we worked on in the last 12 months so we're not in that position again?
There's enough people on the internet who've. I keep saying, don't I? Accountancy's loss is football's gain. Number crunching on players and stuff. The data is unbelievable. There's enough people with their own accounts and stuff and putting quite good insight in together, I think, for Ipswich to build their own thing, not rely on Brighton, of which they weren't allowed to use this season because Brighton wouldn't share it with someone who's in the same competition as them. So that's a weird dynamic to me. Let's have our own thing going on. I mean, the famous dashboard that Ashton's got. Give that to some kid who can turn that into this all-seeing thing. You know what I mean?
It was loaned to him.
It's Brighton's, really.
But yeah, you know, assuming we don't lose. I mean, I would obviously, you know, we'll talk about this through the summer, but I'd be replacing players should we need to as they leave. But assuming the squad is the squad and the lap leaves, and that's the only real departure, I'm looking at 3 players: a centre forward and 2 central midfield players. Because as always, a really good team is good because their spine is good, and you've got Palmer, great goalkeeper. You've got O'Shea, and I think Greaves will be, you know, much better in the Championship as he was for Hull. So you've got O'Shea and Greaves. You've got your 10 in Schmodix or Chaplin. Both are really good at the Championship level. You just need those 3 other players to form that spine, and then you've got a wealth of talent in the wide areas. A real wealth of talent. You know,
more than enough. I'll just float 2 words, if you mind. Relegation clause. We don't really know who's got that in their contracts. I mean, if they get triggered, then you could be talking to Philogene and Amari. Delap, we know, obviously. Alex, but if I was Leeds and Burnley, I'd be looking. And Burnley, we think are going to lose Trafford to Newcastle. I'd be looking at Alex Palmer. Age maybe not on his side, but I don't know. He's either these players either. I mean, this bonus money on top of the parachute payments, isn't it? So we're going to be in a very good space, and you know, we'll be competing with moneyed clubs like Wrexham and Birmingham. We'll be going to be very interesting next season. That's going to be a really interesting dynamic. Well, as we said before, will Ryan Reynolds and co put even more dollars into Wrexham? I mean, they've gone back to back. 3 promotions on the trot. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to end there because I've got to go. But appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you so much. Don't forget to mark osteopaths. Give Freddie a call. 01449613633. Don't live life in pain. Give Freddie a call. But until then, this man here has been Matthew Phillips. I've been the Gov. I'm free. It's so warm outside. I'm freezing cold. I'm shivering sat here this afternoon. I don't know what is wrong with me. But thank you for tuning in. Take care. God bless. All the best. Bye.